Did you ever watch Batman, the animated series, and think, what if this was even darker and had an even more badass theme song? Turns out, you'd have gargoyles. In case you forgot what these flying monster things are, it's both in the title and the opening credits, but gargoyles as a concept originated in architecture as a sort of decorative, creepy monster thing that helped drain water off of buildings. Where some see demons, the Walt Disney Company saw dollar signs. See, in 1994, in an animation block called Disney Afternoon, which featured classic lighthearted romps like Tailspin and Chip and Dale and Rescue Rangers and DuckTales, woohoo, you get it. As ratings sagged, Disney needed a show to resuscitate viewer interest. And so they fired up this.
Face me, human, if you dare.
So settle in as we take you down memory lane and fill you in on all you need to know about Disney's first animated drama series, Gargoyles.
We are defenders of the night. We are Gargoyles.
Gargoyles was a moody, emotionally complex action series starring, yep, you guessed it, gargoyles who lived in New York City. It's kind of like Sex and the City, but for gargoyles and literally nothing else except it's in New York. And it's a drama, as in capital D, drama. It had romantic subplots, lots of guns, and endless pontificating about the scourge of the human race.
We saved their lives and they repay us with contempt.
She is right, Goliath.
There was so much dramatic tension oozing out of every scene. So, because it was the 90s, they decided to cut that tension with fat jokes.
All of nature trembles at my passing.
I can see why.
The show developed a passionate following for its deep exploration of complex themes, characters, and plots. Maybe even too complex. The pilot's premise is a tangled knot of interweaving narratives that involve time jumps, Vikings, palace intrigue, robots, corporate theft, magic spells, betrayals galore, and space aliens. Okay, fine. Not that last one, but you get the point. There is a lot to unpack, and this is for kids who are like hopped up on Gushers right after school. So, in fact, the pilot was so dense, it was broken up into 5 episodes. 5. That's not a pilot, it's a movie, said the network who aired Battlestar Galactica as a 3-hour pilot. But you know what? We can do it. Disney later recut the episodes together and released it as a direct-to-video feature called Gargoyles the Movie Heroes Awaken. And boy, is there a lot of awakening going on here. I wish I woke up every morning just like that. But that's just where the story begins. Jump back to the year 994, Scotland, where the gargoyles thrive alongside humanity. During the day, they turn to stone, and at night they come to life to protect the humans that live inside their castle from invaders. So here's an idea, I don't know, maybe attack during the day? It's irrelevant now, it was a long time ago, but think about it. Obviously, these attackers are just throwaways, literally. Clearly, they do not share Batman's no-kill policy. But gargoyles also have super strength, super thick skin, and super screamo skills. After numerous betrayals, the humans kill most of the gargoyles, leaving behind a scant few. The survivors include their leader, Goliath, who rages at the murder of his beloved Demona. He's so mad his eyes are glowing. That's like when my husband puts the milk that he looks at it and sees that it's expired and he puts it back in the fridge anyway instead of throwing it out. My eyes glow. Anyway, the remaining gargoyles are then cursed to sleep for 1,000 years. And we're back in 1994, where they meet a recurring enemy and a ruthless billionaire with a name like a prescription drug, Xanatos.
Warning, taking Xanatos may lead to increased bouts of megalomania and global conquest.
But the gargoyles also find a helping hand in police officer Elisa Maza, who aids them in their heroic quests throughout the city as they fight crime, Snake Lady, the Illuminati, the Loch Ness Monster, Macbeth from the play, this drama school teacher, and in a shocking twist, Demona. She survived all these years in hiding and returns with a vow to destroy humanity, which she makes clear in numerous speeches.
They had to pay. All humanity has to pay for what they did to our kind.
With Goliath's former second-in-command and lover now turned against him, he needs all the help he can get. So rounding out his supporting cast are the other surviving gargoyles. There's Hudson, the old one, Brooklyn, the hothead, who was so beloved by fans he had a planned spin-off called Time Dancers in the works, but it never made it out of development. There's Lexington, the smart one. Then there was Broadway, because he's broad. Fat jokes, news. Their gargoyle dog Bronx. Oh, and there's Angela. Anyway, that's the Gargoyle boy band. Goliath's sidekicks often provided the comic relief, which was desperately needed in this heavy show that encountered dystopian futures and alternate realities, death, exploding light beams, and mullets? I mean, that's a full Uncle Jesse right there. Could they just not afford hairstylists? Or maybe they blew their whole budget on Ed Asner? Because I actually can get behind that decision. The legendary TV and film star played Hudson, while the rest of the cast was equally impressive. There was Keith David as Goliath, who also played Goliath's evil clone, Phalog, Goliath spelled backward, and who had the best evil laugh. Elisa Maza was voiced by Sally Richardson Whitfield, actress and now acclaimed director of some of your favorite sci-fi and fantasy shows. Also, Patrick Starr from SpongeBob played Broadway. Well, voice actor Bill Fagerbacke played both those roles.
What is it? Are we being attacked again?
And then there's the rest of the cast, which was voiced by Star Trek. Seriously, this show could have been called Gargoyles TNG. You had Xanatos played by Riker, aka Jonathan Frakes, Demona played by Deanna Troi or Marina Sirtis, Puck was played by Data, Brent Spiner, not to mention numerous guest appearances by Lieutenant Worf, Geordi LaForge, Janeway from Voyager, Sisko from Deep Space Nine, and even Uhura from the original series. To top it all off, Patrick Stewart was considered for a few roles: Goliath, Macbeth, and King Arthur, until Disney couldn't meet his price. And I bet his price is very high. Isn't that engaging? Sorry, I had to do it. I had to get a little Picard in there. Like its on-screen counterpart, the story of production was equally intricate. Originally, Disney envisioned the show as a comedy adventure series along the lines of DuckTales. In that premise, the gargoyles were more mischievous tricksters who accidentally drink a 1,000-year sleeping potion and then awake in modern day ready to party. Why? Because you just woke up from a 1,000-year coma, and if that isn't reason to party, I don't know what is.
Shall we let our brothers and sisters have all the fun?
Eventually, that iteration was scrapped and reworked into a dramatic pitch titled The Gargoyle, which centered around Goliath and piggybacked on themes prevalent in the hit animated feature Disney had just released, Beauty and the Beast. As the pitch gained steam, the writers dropped the from the title, kind of like Facebook, added a few more supporting characters, some compelling villains, and presto, they got their idea greenlit into a series. The first 2 seasons were the show's high point. Season 1 established the characters and the world, which almost exclusively took place in New York. Season 2 expanded their horizons. Dubbed by fans as the Gargoyles World Tour, our protagonists traveled around the globe, meeting other mythical creatures and discovering new gargoyles, both friend and foe. And then, Season 3. That's when Disney fired all of the writers and moved the show to ABC's one Saturday morning. They rebranded the show The Goliath Chronicles, and it plummeted in ratings. It's almost like writers matter, it's wild. With new showrunners aboard, Gargoyles lost a lot of what made it stand out in the first place. The densely layered stories, multi-dimensional characterizations, and subtleties of the original run were sadly left behind. It was replaced with sillier stories epitomized by an episode called Broadway Goes to Hollywood, where he gets his own TV show. The whole thing was just a bit off kilter and missing the subtlety and spectacle of the original run, and thus the show was canceled for good. Though there were several talks of spin-offs about everything from prequels to King Arthur, even Gargoyles 2198, which would have set the show in the far future. But the future with mullets, that's a future I can get excited about. Don't worry, if you're doing a Gargoyles rewatch and yearn for more, you can always pick up the comics. Called Gargoyles Clan Building, it takes off after the season 2 finale because they also pretend like that 3rd season never happened. Good call. Whatever your interest in the show, Gargoyles left a lasting impression on viewers thanks to its truly cinematic score, Shakespearean melodrama, and deliciously overwrought theatricality. Even though the show is long gone, it still lives in the hearts of its passionate fan base. A huge part of that is series co-creator Greg Weisman, who has remained a vocal champion for Gargoyles fandom over 2 decades, often doing Q&As with fans. In 1997, fans of the show began meeting annually at a convention known as the Gathering of the Gargoyles. It's kind of like the Juggalos thing, but a lot less complicated, less mud pits, that kind of thing, you know? What was your favorite overly dramatic Gargoyles moment? I like that exploding light beam part. That's just me. Let us know yours in the comments.